So one topic that people bring up when they're talking about, everything that's happened in the past 24 hours of the whole Vince McMahon trafficking allegations and lawsuit is, the fact that back in 2022, or at least towards the end of it, and going into 2023, the board of directors, or at least a majority of them, pulled a 180. Because you see, in the summer when the allegations first came out, and I was working at Target at the time, by the way, when this happened, when those allegations first came out, the board had basically unanimously, voted for Vince to step down. They voted, that he could no longer be chairman, but he could keep his majority ownership, his voting power, his stock and stake, in the company and so on. They were okay with all that, but he couldn't basically be, the face of the company, from an executive standpoint anymore because of these allegations. So they voted him out, and not long after that, he comes out on social media and announces his retirement, just out of the blue on ironically, a Friday like today. Out of the blue, he just says at 71 years old or 72 years old, I'm done. Or 75 years old, I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to hang it up. But apparently he would, go back on that and say that he got bad advice. And this, going back on what he said, would occur not even a few months afterwards. And within the span of 5 to 6 months, a majority of the board, including 2 new members that he appointed himself while he was still on the outside looking in, people that he had, released previously, but they had now, been reinstated thanks to him because they obviously he had a good relationship, or they were the yes people he wanted or whatever. Within the span of not even 6 to 5 months, basically the last few months of the year, all of a sudden the board, with a few exceptions, pulls a 180 and unanimously votes him back in. And the few exceptions are 2 board members that didn't want to see him back, and the other 2, which include his daughter and Triple H, his son-in-law, and potentially Nick Khan. Not saying that's entirely true. But Nick Khan could also be someone that didn't want him back, but had no choice but to, welcome him back, because he got outvoted. But the question obviously is, what caused the board, this group of directors to side with him again, besides the addition of the 2 people he appointed? What made these people unanimously vote for him back when they could have just easily stood their ground and said, yeah, we welcome you 2 people back to the board, but guess what? You want Vince back? We don't. That's it. We're unanimously voting to keep him out. He has to stay out. He has to remain gone. The question obviously is what made them unanimously, turn a 180 and vote him back in? Well, the first answer to that question is, Vince basically came out and said, look, I'm not going to let you sell the company because basically they were in talks to sell it. He's like, I'm not going to let you sell the company to whoever you want the parent company to be. I'm not going to let you negotiate any media rights deals for Raw, SmackDown, or NXT unless I'm there to facilitate it. And despite their efforts saying, no, Vince, you can't do this, he bullied, he basically held the company hostage, internally. He held the company hostage eternally and essentially, bullied his way back in by, telling them, hey, if I'm not here to, get the company sold and there's no media rights deals, oh, well, I guess WWE is going to RIP. So what happened? That caused them to unanimously vote him in. Well, vote him back in, basically, pull a 180. But even with that, you would think, well, they cannot take his threats seriously. They can't. And that legally, they could, go against him and say, well, if you're threatening us, with not allowing us to move forward with the sale of the company or getting new media rights deals, if you're threatening to hold the company hostage eternally, then that just proves the allegations put against you is true. It's true. Those allegations are true, and we could take you to court. And thus we can not only prevent you from still coming back, but we could also take your power. You would think, that if they wanted to stand their ground like they were trying to, they would, counter with something like that, but they didn't. Instead, it's Vince coming out saying, hey, I'm not going to allow all this to happen unless I'm back in charge. And they basically say, okay, you're back. And you can only imagine what Stephanie and Triple H and maybe Nick Khan and the two other board members that left, you have to imagine their reaction when that happened. I mean, it's no wonder Stephanie decided to step away, because it seems she knew, something was, a bigger storm, a more, devastating storm was heading towards Vince McMahon, towards her dad. And she's like, I don't want no part of this. I don't want to be a victim in this. I'm gone. And she basically left. And now she's at home raising her kids or doing other business ventures. But she obviously knew something was coming. But, and so did the rest of the board, obviously. But they had no choice, because Vince holding them hostage and stuff, even though they could have, legally used that against them and said, well, that just proves the allegations are true about you. The allegations are true about you. So, you have to wonder, what did Vince have on them? What did Vince have on these people outside of holding the company hostage, which they could have countered into a legal battle in court? Preventing him from ever getting back into power and all that, and even taking his power away. What did he have on them? And I think he had some things. I think he had maybe a strong percentage of all the controlling interest in the company, the stakes, the stocks, if you will. And maybe he also had control, some kind of control of how, the finances, would come in, how they would financially support themselves and their family. We don't know. But obviously, to me, there has to be more to that than just, turning a run 80 because Vince says, hey, I'm not going to allow this to happen and all that unless I'm back. Which, again, they could have fought in court. They could have fought in court and basically brought up that, hey, this just proves your allegations are true. Because let's not forget, according to a report out there, and someone that worked for WWE at that time, and probably still does, Vince went into guerrilla position the day the accusations came out, after he appeared on SmackDown on the ring, to try to make himself look good or try to divert, any thought about what was going on, about the news that broke. What was the first thing that Vince said, according to reports, when he got to Gorilla, after coming back from the stage? He said, fuck him. Basically, in the eyes of a lot of people back there, that was his way of saying, fuck the people that have these allegations. They're not going to get me. Well, obviously, they almost did. And what's funny is that, Stephanie, Triple H, Nick Khan, the board, they were doing what they could to protect the image of the company by having Vince unanimously voted out, having him step away, protect whatever positive image he had left. But he didn't heed to their suggestion or want to even adhere to it, and came up with this excuse of, oh, I got bad advice. Who did you get the bad advice from, huh? Are you not going to say? Or was it because maybe you were just upset that the company was running better under your daughter's watch and under Nick Khan's watch? We may not have an answer to that, but the thing is, again, you have to wonder, out of all those majority members of the board at that time in 2022, 2023, that could have, again, legally taken him to court and threatened to, remove him from power completely, because they could say, well, it just proves your allegations are true. What made them, decide to just go with, bringing him back in, with the threat of no media rights are going to be made, no sales going to be made unless I'm there, What made them decide to change their mind? And also, when you look back at what he did afterwards, the infamous Raw After Mania last year, where he blew up everything, which I could probably assume was his way of visually on screen, not himself on screen, but visually on screen, and reaction-wise was his own way of getting back at everybody, basically saying, hey, this is what you get for cheering me, cheering for my demise or potential demise. This is what you get. Maybe you'll think twice. That's my opinion. I think anybody would share that as well as fact. We saw what he did and everything. What was preventing people from even stopping him from doing that by basically denying him access? Basically saying, well, yeah, Vince, we know you're the owner of the company, but you're not on the list of people that need to be here, so you need to go. You know, what was preventing them from stopping him, huh? Again, he has to have had something. He had to have something on some people, but we may never know. Because again, there's all these different scenarios I'm thinking of that that they could have used to prevent him from being back in power, period, no matter what the circumstance. No matter what the circumstance, but we never saw it. We never saw it. And, or never even got a clue of what that could be. All we get is basically, he's threatening not to allow media rights deals to be made. He's threatening to not let a sale go down. Okay, I guess we got to bring him back. Whoopee. And again, out of the entire board, only a few exceptions, 2 board members that didn't want him there, his daughter Stephanie, his son-in-law Triple H, and potentially Nick Khan, they didn't want him back, but apparently the rest of the board said, hey, we got to bring him back because he's not going to let us do all these things. And it's like, yeah, and you think to yourself, well, no, you didn't have to bring him back because you could have legally taken him to court, and everything, threatening to expose the fact that he is everything he's being accused of, and expose all this other, stuff you're trying to keep secret to protect his image or positive image that he has, or whatever positive image he had at that time, as well as the image of the company. You could threaten that, but you didn't. But they didn't. And again, it makes you wonder, what did Vince have on them? Outside of them being board members. I'm just saying. To me, there's more to this story, than we're being told. And hopefully maybe down the line, somebody that was on the original board will come out and say, yeah, this is, what Vince did. This is what Vince had on me and had on this person that, that made us have no choice but to vote him back in, despite the fact that we could have kept him out. I have a feeling we're going to get answers, down the line. Just don't know when. But I can tell you this. Honestly. If Dark Side of the Ring wants a story for season 6, I think they just got a big one for the season premiere, if not season finale. And you know what? This could be the first ever 3-hour premiere finale they ever do. If there's only one time they go 3 hours, it'll be this. But yeah, it's just crazy to think that, this could have all been avoided if he would have listened to his daughter, listened to his son-in-law, listened to Nick Khan, listened to the board, but he didn't. And again, you have to wonder, what did he have on the board? What secrets did he have on the board outside of maybe having a stake in each of their ownership of the company, or stake of each of their stock in the company? It's like, what else did he have on them? Is what I'm wondering about. Because again, they could have easily said, oh, you want to come back? You want to threaten us? We're taking you to court. They could have done that and threatened that, hey, in court, we'll expose all your dirty secrets. How's that? They could have done that, but they didn't. Because I think Vince had something on them. I think he had some kind of info on them that we may not know about and may never know about. But what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the 180 they pulled out of nowhere when they could have easily just said, hey, legally, we'll take you to court if you're threatening to prevent us from selling the company or getting media rights deals? Because we don't really need you here to do that. What was preventing them from doing that? What did he have on them is what I want to know. Because I think there's something there. I think there was something there, and hopefully maybe we'll get answers. But let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what your thoughts are, on that. What do you think, he had on them besides holding them hostage of no media rights deals, no sales of the company and all that? What else do you think maybe he had on them besides maybe a share in the stake of the company? What do you think? It could have been. Let me know down below in the comments as well as in the live chat during the premiere. Like the video. And until then, guys, I am out.